This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, Monday Night Raw, guys. With just a couple weeks away until Hell in a Cell, well, Bad Blood with a Hell in a Cell match. I keep wanting to call it Hell in a Cell. I don't know why, but Bad Blood in just a few weeks. And we've got some things to talk about tonight with Monday Night Raw concluding in Portland, Oregon. I believe it was Portland, right? Yeah, Portland, Oregon. And CM Punk showed up. Gunther showed up. We had some continued chaos with Bronson Reed and Braun Stroman, which I think is just a very surprising success with those two. You know, they caught lightning in a bottle with them. We all know that it can't last too long. Eventually, they're going to have to come to a conclusion, and where that match ends and all that, we don't know, and what the stipulation is. I mean, I don't know. They can't do a lumberjack match with Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. I thought about that. That makes no sense because they're tossing bodies around. They can't do a cage match at Bad Blood because it's dwarfed by the Hell in a Cell match. So the question is, what do they do with Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman? Well, it probably will be something that's concluded on Raw, much like the Intercontinental Championship that's being defended next week and not at Bad Blood. But I have no problem with that because Bad Blood has a higher purpose, and that is to actually conclude feuds, personal feuds, and in many cases, at that event. That is a conclusive event before we restart things at Survivor Series. That Survivor Series will have ramifications all the way to WrestleMania. Make no mistake about it. So Bad Blood is the conclusion of a lot of things that have happened over the summer, and we've got a lot of good things to talk about, including the CM Punk promo, which I have mixed feelings on. We'll talk about that. I generally thought it was effective, but I'll give you my in-depth thoughts in a minute. But first, I want to welcome some new patrons, CB and Stephen Blythe. So Stephen and CB, welcome to the WWE Podcast ad-free family over at the over at Patreon and over at Apple Podcasts. If you guys want to join us ad-free there too, Apple Podcasts is a great way to go ad-free, as well as Patreon. Both offer free trials. If you're just like, I don't want to pay anything, well, you can try us for a week with no commitment at all. All right, so you can do that, cancel your trial, and you don't have to worry about a thing. But if you like us, I'd hope you'd stick with us as we get closer and closer to Survivor Series, which really is the pre-WrestleMania season, believe it or not. So it's almost here as we ramp up to the next WrestleMania, which is six months away. It's is it mid-September? So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 7 months. Yes, I counted on my fingers. That's how we count today. I don't think I've ever stopped counting on my fingers. I'm 39 years old. Still never. It's still how I calculate many things in my life, right? Just like I can't sing the ABC song, or rather when I need to figure out what letter comes after another letter in the alphabet, I still have to sing the ABC song in my head. It's wired in there. I don't know. Maybe that's a referendum of my intelligence or my IQ. I don't know. However, I do want to thank you guys for joining us over on Patreon. And also, again, Stephen and CB, thank you for joining us over there. You guys get ad-free experience. You get everything, including the Discord server as well. And if you're on the NXT Plus and above, you get the exclusive After Dark show. By the way, we have found an NXT host, and a fill-in SmackDown host. So everyone that has applied, thank you so much. I did get a pretty big response, and I really do appreciate it. Those of you who I've selected know who you are, and you'll be introduced to those individuals as soon as tomorrow with the NXT review. So you'll hear from them in short order, but thank you so much, everybody. I really do appreciate it. Don't take it personally if you're like, hey, I didn't get selected. I only had 2 spots open. And it's not that, we didn't get quality candidates. In fact, everyone was really good. So thank you so much. Now, I also have another podcast, one more promo thing before we get a little bit more into Monday Night Raw. It's another podcast I do called The War on Truth. It is, as the title might suggest, not wrestling related, but it is politics and culture. All right. And that may not align with your political views, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. There is such a thing today as disagreeing with people in a civilized manner. That concept has gone by the wayside. And if you disagree with everything I say on the show and you think it's just ridiculous, then that's cool, man. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. It's just my own platform that I've been able to been lucky enough to produce and get a pretty good following in a short amount of time. So it's called The War on Truth. Check me out on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, really anywhere that you can get podcasts. It's called The War on Truth, and we're the logo with the laptop and the American flag. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, and let's start at the beginning of the show. And it had CM Punk arriving at the arena. We had Braun Stroman arriving at the arena. Bronson Reed arriving at the arena. I've generally enjoyed these. It creates a more sports-like feel, along with the results icons or little notifications. If you notice during the Monday Night Raw show, you'll see results actually being put out on the show. Like, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman go to a no DQ finish or whatever the case may be. It's nice. It's like they take their results seriously. It's like it does add to the sports-like feel, which is ultimately what I think the Triple H regime is attempting to do. And I think those little small but effective things all add up. So we get CM Punk opening the show, and a very somber CM Punk comes out, a big response from the Portland crowd, and fans chanted his name, and he, throughout this promo, it's like he found another octave in his voice, and he just stayed in that lane the whole promo. I know it was supposed to be a darker version of Punk, and it was supposed to be low, adding bass to your voice, and and look, Punk is obviously, as we all know, very effective on the microphone. It's how he has generally made most of his money, and how he has become such a big star is not just in ring, but his promo. Let's be real. This was a little forced. Again, not the content. The content of his promo we'll get into. It was weird hearing Punk just purposefully talk 3 octaves down in his voice the whole time. I understand he was trying to convey, this is a darker version. This is now the devil. Very somber. This is going to hell. Okay. Like I get what he was doing. I don't have a problem with it. It just felt a little contrived, and just it was. But I will say it was also nice not hearing, say, Punk talk about these lovely fans in insert name of city, just like MJF called him out on AEW. And honestly, it wouldn't have made sense for him to come out and, after getting his ass kicked and going to the hospital 2 weeks ago because of Drew McIntyre, wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense for him to come out there and just be good old CM Punk, good old Phil Brooks. It made total sense for him to do this. It was just a little weird hearing him like he was trying to talk in a deeper voice the whole time. Weird. That's all. The content of his promo, however, made total sense. He never seems to fail in that regard, but let's get into it. He said that he didn't come to WWE to make friends. He said that didn't exactly mean he came to make a mortal enemy, but that's what happened, and the only way to end things between him and Drew is Hell in a Cell. He feels a little naive for thinking the feud was over after he touched 4 turnbuckles in Berlin, and said maybe Punk, or rather McIntyre, was a little naive for thinking things were over after he jumped him in Chicago and brought his wife and dog into it. Punk said everybody can probably agree that it should have ended when McIntyre sent him to a hospital 2 weeks ago, but Punk said he's just too damn stubborn. And Punk said McIntyre's fatal mistake is not getting the job done, and now things are drastically different. And people ask him how many Hell in a Cell matches he has left in him. He said, honestly, the answer is 0. And his family begged him not to do this. And he recalled telling McIntyre the last time they were in Portland that if he pushed him far enough, that he could become the devil himself. And now he said the devil is here, and the devil is in his heart telling him the only way this ends is Hell in a Cell. He said he can't promise that he's going to kill McIntyre because he can't make promises that he 100% can't deliver on. And Punk promised that he would make McIntyre bleed, and McIntyre would have to kill him. Punk said he is prepared to die, and for his heart to stop beating, and for it to be all over with. And he has had a great career, and if this is the end, so be it. Punk said he's prepared for this to be the end of him, and if McIntyre is prepared for it to be the end of him as well, then he'll see him in hell. Very effective promo. I thought it came across very well. Again, the octave part is a little weird, but it didn't destroy the message. The message was delivered loud and clear. Well-designed, well-crafted promo. This is an evil version of Punk that we've been all waiting to see. The malicious, true CM Punk, not the happy-go-lucky, pandering to the crowd that we've seen really for weeks and weeks now. This is CM Punk at his darkest. And that's where he's been pushed. And that's how his character should be. That's how his character honestly should be presented. You shouldn't be going out there and being in any kind of good mood, given the stakes here, given the heated rivalry that has been going on for months since really January of 2024 of this past year. And it makes sense. So I can appreciate it. The content of his promo, very good, obviously. He was basically saying, I'm willing to die in this match. And there's been a lot of bringing up of death in wrestling as of late, that, you know, you're going to have to kill me. I think Drew said that too, along with, I think, one or two others. And it's usually not something that I prescribe to, bringing in death into pro wrestling, because you know it's never, ever, ever going to be something that anyone can ever deliver on, ever. It's immediately a lie, because you know, they're just talking through their ass, because it's way over dramatized. In this case, I actually don't take issue with it, because he wasn't talking about killing McIntyre. He said that, you know, he's not going to make a promise he can't deliver on, but he said he himself is willing to die in this match. My heart, I've basically come to peace with my own demise in this match. And it was just it was very effective. It was effective, and credit to Punk. Very good. And yeah, so this, you know, I'm ready for it though. I don't know how much more promo we can do for this. I don't know how many more times we need to see these two bludgeon each other. The other note that I did make in this promo though was one word that I was hoping I would hear, and that is blood. There has to be blood in this match, and Punk said he promised he would make Drew McIntyre bleed. That's awesome. I love that. Not only because it's been so long since we've heard somebody say they're going to make somebody else bleed, but blood has been absent for too long, especially when it's warranted. I don't want to see it in every promo, or rather every match. Even if it's an intense match with a blow-off, blood should be reserved for, pun intended, blood feuds. Hell in a Cell almost requires you to shed blood. It's like a rite of passage in that match. You must shed blood to the blood gods before you enter that cell. And there have been many a Hell in a Cell matches, unfortunately, over the PG era, when Hell in a Cell was its own PLE, which is a cardinal sin in my book. But there have been many that have not had blood, and it's a missing element. This makes me excited, because it's now a 100% guarantee we will see it. Am I a bloodthirsty savage? Yeah. Guilty as charged. I don't care. Everyone listening to this podcast, I would imagine you are in the same boat, whether you admit it or not. Blood can be extremely effective, especially the fact that we haven't seen it on purpose very much over the last 10 to 12 years. So, all right. So we have Sheamus versus Pete Dunne, not Butch. Pete Dunne beats Sheamus in 11 minutes and 15 seconds after he attempted a shillelagh attack. We had Sheamus catch him, and then we had Pete Dunne, while the referee was distracted, hitting Sheamus with, what was it, a paddle, a cricket bat or something, and then it ended with Pete Dunne just hitting a knee to the face and pinning Sheamus. Sloppy finish. I mean, the match itself, I would say, was pretty well done and brought a crowd in for a matchup that honestly most of us don't have a ton of storage in our brain for. Most of us aren't really thinking about Sheamus versus Pete Dunne, but they brought us in, and then they had this the finish that was like, like I don't know if it wasn't just executed great or if it wasn't just it wasn't even strategized correctly, even if they did execute it perfectly. But we get the premise. This isn't over. Sheamus and Pete Dunne are not done, and they can make up for this kind of womp ending by having another kick-ass match, or as they would put it, a banger. They can easily make that up because both men are extremely capable. My concern, though, for Pete Dunne is, and I'm being blunt, and this is just the way it is, and calling it like I see it, no one gives a damn about Pete Dunne's character. No one cares. Nobody does, and I don't know what the solution is for that. Maybe more mic time. Maybe another sit-down interview. But no one seems to care. His music isn't exciting. I will say the joint manipulation is stupid. I hate to be so elementary in my analysis here, but the joint manipulation, it's not fun to watch. The crowd doesn't seem to react to it. I know it's a unique thing, but it's not visually satisfying to watch in a pro wrestling match. I know joint manipulation in real life would hurt like hell, and you could break and snap many things by doing it. But there's something visually about watching it that just bores the hell out of me, and it doesn't do anything for me. And the Pete Dunne character, while it's nice he's no longer Butch, that's good. The bar was set so low with Butch that going to Pete Dunne wasn't that much higher, because we don't know much more about him other than Sheamus held me down. He's the reason I didn't succeed. The end. Okay. But who are you? You know? So maybe change up your attire a little bit. He still looks like a kid. I don't know. This is not me crapping on his wrestling. He's obviously very good in the ring. I'm trying to help the kid. And who am I? I'm 39, calling people kids. But I really am, because with somebody that good in the ring, you can get a good match to great match out of him almost every time, but his character is just boring. There's no emotional investment from the crowd. And I hope that improves, but it's not going to improve if you just put him out there in matches and don't do anything with the character. So, okay. We had Natalya with Zelina Vega and Lyra versus Zoe Stark, who was also with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler. And we had Natalya beating Zoe Stark in 7 minutes. Stark rolled up Natalya, who countered into a pin of her own and got the 3 count. So Natalya wins. So it's the second week in a row. This may be, perhaps, Natalya's longest winning streak in the last 10 years. I say that half jokingly. I mean, Natalya disappears for 6 months at a time. And then when she comes back, it's often to put over whatever talent they're trying to get over at that time. And so this may be, not only is it a streak for her winning, but also a streak of being on television in a televised match 2 weeks in a row. I mean, it's got to be at least 10 years, right? I'm half serious. I'm surprised they keep Natalya around. And not that she doesn't have some value, and sure, her uncle, who her uncle is, but she has been one of the early pioneers of the women's evolution. Before, she's the precursor to the 4 Horsewomen. She was the wrestler that you took seriously when a lot of other female wrestlers were taken as still jokes during the Divas Championship era. And she's a veteran. She's a mainstay. All those things are true. And she's the gatekeeper. But why? What are we doing with Natalya? What are we doing? I'm not advocating for her to be fired. No, I'm not. But my question is, what are we doing with her in any kind of sense? Is there a plan at all? Is she just gonna come out of the woodwork every 4 to 6 months like she has been? I guess that's the answer. But hey, she's on a winning streak. Let's enjoy it. The longest winning streak in a long time for Natalya. I say 10 years, but I really don't know how long it's been. It's got to be like at least a year. Somebody out there will prove me wrong, but it feels like forever. So, and it's also interesting too. So Sonya Deville has just gotten back, and she's super underrated, or at least underutilized, I should say, especially on the microphone. And she's done nothing but lose or be associated with losing since she returned, which is unusual. So it tells me they don't have any imminent plans for Sonya. But all right, let's go to the next segment here. Backstage, Finn crashed an interview with Kathy Kelly, who was conducting one with Rhea, and Balor told Ripley that she's just as bad as Priest and confessed to her that he was the one encouraging Dom to go after Liv. I love that. Right in her face, he told her. I loved it. And I was glad, I thought a brawl was going to break out and Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor were going to brawl. Thank God that didn't happen. Priest stepped in, or I'm sorry, Jey Uso stepped in. Thank God, because it felt like they were about to take that step into the Pandora's box that you can't close, with Rhea just basically entering the men's division. So I'm glad that didn't happen. All right. So Joe Tessitore mentioned on Raw that USA Network finale for December 30th was December 30th, while also mentioning that Raw will be 2 hours in length starting in October and running through the end of the year. The angels are singing from the heavens, my friends. 2 hours of Raw. Now, this doesn't really affect those of us that watch the Hulu version. It's going to not change a thing. And for those of us also looking for the Hulu version of SmackDown, I know I was. Apparently the contract with Hulu and SmackDown has expired, and you have to just either find a one of those streams, if you know what I mean, or look at the highlights, or read about it, or get your cable subscription, because right now it looks like the Hulu version of SmackDown is no longer a thing on Hulu for the time being. Maybe that'll change, but as of now, I was looking for it just like you were. But for Monday Night Raw, going from 3 to 2 hours, I went through this, I think at length, the last show or the show before that. It's a blessing for everyone involved. Everyone. Now, Raw is going to be 2 hours when they go to Netflix. They must be getting a boatload of money to make up for the lack of ad revenue, as I've talked about. But for not just the fans who have an attention span lower than at any time in history because of our smartphones and how quickly the news cycle, basically renews itself. It is a blessing, not just for us as fans and our attention span, but also the quality of the content of the show should increase because there's less content, which means they have more time to focus on the things they want to do. And I guess in turn, just naturally things should improve because there's more time spent on fewer things. So we'll see if that actually takes place. We'll see what happens, but also for the talent and creative, they're all just going, thank God. They're all just saying thank God. All right, let's move on to Jey Uso coming out. And he said that his desire to win the Intercontinental title, talked about that and paused for the fans to say yeet. Braun Breaker comes out. And we had, Barrett say Breaker is the future of the industry and said it might be a cold day in hell before someone takes the title from him. And Breaker recalled Jey, telling Jey to stay away. But he's gone on a relentless pursuit of his championship. And Breaker said Jey is trying to prove that he doesn't need any help to be a single star. And he did his homework, and Jey's been in WWE for 14 years. And Breaker said Jey's one of the biggest stars in WWE, and the fans love him. Breaker said the funny thing is that he's done more as a singles wrestler in 6 months than Jey has done during his entire career. And Jey told Breaker he sees that dog in him, and he wouldn't take Breaker lightly, but he's only been here for 6 months. And Jey was winning championships in WWE when Breaker was still in diapers. And Jey said he would, quote, dog walk your ass. That was a good line. And Jey said he'd find out what Breaker's made of and said it might be short and sweet like his NFL career. That was also a nice little zinger back. Breaker showed the line got to him, and then they went face to face, and they ended up in a brawl with Breaker attempting a spear. My God, can he run the ropes fast? In fact, Michael Cole will tell you how fast he can run it. Is it like 23 miles an hour or something insane? It is quite insane. It's remarkable. But Breaker went for a spear, but Jay beat him to it. And Breaker sold the spear very well. And that was it. And, I know a lot of people are on Braun Breaker. His music does suck. It still does. They need to just... I don't know what they were doing. They just went from one crappy song to the next. They need to find something for him. I don't know what it is. All right, that's not my job. My job is to simply tell you when it's good or bad, because I'm a fan. But the music he has now is not memorable. It's not effective. It doesn't need to be a sing-along song like a Sami Zayn or a Seth Rollins or a Cody Rhodes. But it needs to be something that is just, oh, okay, I know what that is, right? Like, oh, okay. Breaker needs music, and that will really help. In the meantime, he's showing us that he can cut a promo. And he can cut a promo not just backstage, not just pre-taped, but in-ring against one of the top talents. And feel like he belongs. That's an important point, too. A lot of times, talents will come up from NXT, and they don't have that innate feeling of belongingness. There's that kind of NXT stink, and I don't mean that disrespectfully at NXT. It is a brand that has re-energized what it means to come up from to debut on the main roster. It is their own farm system that they've been able to monetize, and then be able to monetize again when they bring that person up to the main roster. It has also become kind of an anti-brand to WWE. What used to be all the Vince McMahon stuff on Raw and SmackDown, and Triple H was running SmackDown, NXT. It felt like they were almost competing with each other. It was the old school of doing wrestling versus Vince's way of doing wrestling. And even though it wasn't a counter brand, but it was a brand still under the same company name, which is quite wild. But my point about all this is, Braun Breaker wasn't one of those guys that came up and felt like he needs a little bit more time. I think he feels authentically confident. He feels real. He cuts promos concisely. He doesn't waste time. And in the ring, he's an absolute freak of nature. He's not Goldberg, as many people have compared him to. I don't want to hear about the spear anymore. He's just Goldberg, look at the spear. How many people are using the spear right now? How many people? I mean, it's also used as kind of, for some, a transition move. But for just a finish, we have three guys off the top of my head that uses it as a finish. Braun Breaker, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns. All three use that as a spear. And sure, you could say the Uso splash is part 2 of Jey, but Jey still uses that as a finish. He has finished matches with it, won matches with that move. That's 3 right off the bat, including before Edge left, Adam Copeland. He obviously had the spear. I'm sure I'm missing more, but so it's not the spear. He is not Goldberg with the spear. He's not, okay? I know, he's from Atlanta, Georgia. I don't care. Same place as Goldberg. I don't care. He doesn't look like Goldberg. He doesn't talk like Goldberg. All right. So I know there was a lot of people making comparisons to that, and he is far from it. He's infinitely more talented than Goldberg is on the microphone, although the bar is low on that one as well. And in the ring, he is more than just a one-trick pony. So, I mean, it sounds like I'm disrespecting Goldberg, and I guess in some ways I am. But he was very successful, but he was in the right place at the right time and had the right look. But honestly, he had no business being in a wrestling ring. And, he has made millions off of his gig, and great for him. He seems like a genuinely nice guy with his son and all that. And it's a feel-good story, and he has an intensity and a look that can't be matched. But he just is not very skilled in the ring. His moveset is as limited as mine is, and I've spent 10 minutes inside a wrestling ring. There's a story I'll maybe tell you sometime. I'll leave that for another day. But that is, that was Goldberg. This is not Goldberg. Braun Breaker is not Goldberg, but he does need to find music that is a little more exciting. And Sami Zayn, we'll get to that in a minute, but I know people are all excited about Sami Zayn and that, you know, he feels... Some people are saying there might be a chance. We'll get to that in a minute, that he could beat Gunther. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right. Here comes something else interesting that happened on Raw. And, well, this is the next match. But before we get to that next match, which is a tag team match for the tag titles, the men's tag titles, the women's tag team champions of Bianca and Jade were backstage when Io Sky showed up yelling, and it ended with Bianca challenging Kairi Sane, or Io Sky rather, to a match, which of course she accepted. But how many times are we going to be treated to the just insufferability of Bianca and Jade walking to the arena with their titles and their shoulders and their sunglasses and their hand gestures and all their very synchronized, you know, movements? I can't stand it anymore. This is at the point of the fans, I think, maybe starting to turn on this. You'll know when the fans are about to turn on it, when they stop reacting positively, and it's not net negative yet, but it's about to go that way. And I think fans are starting to, in my mind, when you listen to the reactions, they're nowhere near what they used to be for Bianca. And Bianca is being hurt by this too. And I don't know if it's worth it anymore. I don't know if it's worth it, because Jade doesn't get singles, or WWE, let's be honest, doesn't trust or feel like Jade is at the point where she can have televised matches on her own on a regular basis. And they have Bianca do it, who I feel is, she needs to break out again. And I don't care if those two, Bianca and Jade, have a program. We can wait on that. Maybe they just break up quietly. Bianca needs to get back in the women's division. They need to put her in a position to compete for a championship again. She doesn't have to win it necessarily, but Bianca, her presence, while she's been there, it feels like she hasn't been there. Let Jade work things out on her own. I mean, you can't sacrifice one of your greatest talents in the women's division forever for a talent that honestly may not work out. I understand they're trying to build a new star. She can work with her behind the scenes. I know they're covering up her weakness by putting her in a tag team. They're trying to maximize her strengths, which is get a hot tag, get the victory after 5 maneuvers, and look good flexing, and have an entrance that, you know, maximizes, look at my body. Don't I have a great body? And she's even putting on X, this is Jade, I smell like, she's talking about how good she smells and how, you know, fans that hug her are going to, quote, moan that she's, when they hug her, if they hug her, because she smells so good. And I put this out there and I said, I said, Jade, you know, always getting to the heart of the issues that fans really care about. How good they're, you know, they smell. Like, no, I mean, of course, no one wants to hug anybody that smells like, you know, manure. But I mean, Jade is presenting herself as a very superficial, just this, you know, China-esque figure that doesn't and hasn't done much other than just look good for a photo shoot. She's had glimpses in the ring. She had a really nice Rumble debut. But, like, what's her standout moment besides that? What have they done since bringing her into the ring physically since January? That's been 8 months. 8 months. And we still don't have Jade Cargill singles matches. Why? Why is that? Well, the answer is clear. She is ready when it comes to the camera on her, but she's not ready when it comes to in-ring. And I'm not saying she never will be. I do see why they keep her. I like her look a lot when it comes to her. You know, she's got a very unique look. It's impressive. Clearly spends a lot of time on herself and her physique, and it's commendable. But you're holding Bianca hostage. You are holding one of the greatest talents that the company has, especially in ring. And it's being held hostage by an experiment that may not work out at all. And I hope it does. It sounds like I'm rooting against Jade. I am not rooting against Jade. I'm telling you what I see right now and have seen for 8 months. I've been in her corner at times, saying that fans should give her a chance. She's shown promise, and she has at times. But I'm generally now looking at the pattern, not individual events. The pattern has been really solid Rumble debut. Looks really good on camera, and whenever a photograph is taken of her, she smells really good apparently, because that's something we need to share with fans. It's really important stuff. And she gets the hot tag for Bianca, and her matches are under 8 minutes long, even in tag team scenarios outside of PLEs. So that tells me we need to cover up her lack of ability in the ring. She also has yet to show us that she can cut a really good promo. And Jade is living. She's living and breathing based on her look. And she knows it. And I hope she improves. She's not abysmal. They haven't done anything to show you like, oh my God, that was horrible. I mean, she's had some botches. But they've minimized her to a point that that what you're going to get with her is very little on the mic, quick explosions in the ring, and that's it. They haven't allowed her weaknesses to be exposed too much, but by not expanding what she's doing on the mic and in ring, you're essentially admitting that they don't trust her to do anything else at this point. But again, I hope she does well. I truly do. Because if they ever find the formula with her and she ends up really excelling on the mic, gets it in the ring, things start to click, I think you have a Hall of Famer right there. But we'll see. I went off on a Jade tangent. And some of you are going to talk about, the Jade hate. Everything I just said complimentary about her, and I hope she stays, and I do think she's going to be a Hall of Famer. She puts it together. Everything I just said for the past 10 minutes, somebody's going to summarize as, the Jade, you're a Jade hater. You're spending so much time talking about how much. No. Then you didn't listen to what I said. I'm getting ahead of arguments by arguing with myself. It's like a pre-argument. Let's see if it works. All right, Finn and JD versus the New Day, and this is for the World Tag Team titles. So the New Day don't win here. This was nearly 9 minutes with JD and Finn beating Kofi and Xavier. And it ended with Woods getting hit with coup de grace and Balor getting Woods covered for the win. This, of course, didn't come without any controversy, with Liv and Dom and Carlito getting to ringside. They were countered by Dragon Lee, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro, and they evened out the score, so to speak, but that was enough to distract. Xavier, who ended up getting angry at the end of the match and yelling at Kofi, didn't shove him or anything yet, but after the match, Kingston tried to confront Woods, or Comfort, rather. Not confront, but Comfort, who pulled him away. Woods yelled, "Why?" a few times. And that's when he was backstage yelling at, the Joaquin Wilde and Dragon Lee and Cruz del Toro, talking about how we don't need them and what about us? And ever since E left, we're not enough. And so this is hopefully leading to a split at the 10th anniversary of their creation. I really hope it is. It's one of those festival of friendships moments that Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens had a number of years ago, where it looks like maybe all's well. Xavier has calmed down. Here's a video tribute to you, Kofi and Xavier, and or rather Big E. Maybe even Big E shows up as kind of a cameo appearance, even though he's not cleared to wrestle. He could just show up for a photo op of sorts, or be there for the big moment when Xavier turns on Kofi, and maybe Big E's there to just cry. I don't know, because I mean, obviously, I hope Big E is eventually cleared to wrestle, but if he's not, he could still make an impact on the 10th anniversary, which is coming up in November. So I hope that this is a split. If it's not a split and it's a swerve, I mean, F everybody involved. If this is all leading to you thought we guys were going to split, we're going to be the first team in history, or one of the only few teams in history, factions in history to never split, I think the crowd actually boo, because fans are ready. They've been ready for, I mean, they've been together, 10 years? Fans have been ready for about 7 years. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I'm honestly, I've been ready for the group to disband for like the last 8 or 9 years. But this more than has run its course. They need to split. It would create buzz. They aren't exactly killing it in merch. So yeah, this needs to be a split with Xavier being the heel. I don't care if Xavier's the heel. In fact, that would tell me that they are going to focus on Xavier rather than Kofi, because Xavier, I think, has been underutilized, much like let's just said Sonya Deville or others. And you watch him in the ring, and Xavier Good's really good. Did I say Xavier Good? Xavier Woods is really good. That's one thing I haven't and won't take away from him. All the criticism I've given him for 10 years, and the cringy moments and the terrible inside jokes and all that, he still is really good in the ring. Really good. And I hope that this does work and he turns on Kofi, and Big E's there to witness it. All right. We had, let's say, Braun Strowman come out. Braun Strowman comes out, and it's Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman. And once they were in the ring, Strowman avoided a charging Reed, who crashed in the corner and pulled the turnbuckle down, which caused the top rope to collapse. Strowman went to ringside and did his I'm sorry, it's a horrible freight train thing. Reed grabbed a planted fan and then threw him at Strowman, which was funny. And then he speared Reed through the barricade into the timekeeper's area. And Strowman charged Reed after security and producers and referees led Reed to the back. And he shoulder blocked him against the side of a production crate. And then Strowman continued to fight Reed into the backstage area, tossed a bunch of security guards aside, and Strowman pushed a golf cart over, which allowed or caused an outage on one of the cameras, which I think was clearly planted. But Reed jumped off a crate and put Strowman through a table, and then Strowman got up and drove Reed through some drywall, and that was it. So, a fun backstage segment. Was it a little bit staged? Of course it was, but I don't want it to look that way, and some of the spots did look a little staged. Like when the drywall spot. All right, drywall doesn't break like that. All right. I mean, it does break apart, but it doesn't break apart cleanly like that between studs. I mean, it just doesn't unless you pre-cut it. In addition, were those like frying pans above them that were dropped in like some baking tins and stuff? If it was, I have many questions. Number one, why did it take so long for them to drop? It was like 5 seconds after Bronson Reed was put through the drywall that those metal objects, again, I think they were there's some kind of cookware, fell from the ceiling. So bad timing. It should have happened much sooner. It was like delayed pyro. And then also, why? Who's storing cookware in an arena? I mean, that was weird. I know it was just supposed to be something loud and for effect. Like, you're not going to have something soft and wimpy fall from that. I understand the visual. And also, why didn't the camera pan up? You know, if something's falling, like metal objects are falling, the camera needs to pan up. Now, they aren't gonna, because people are clearly up there dropping stuff. But so outside of that little kind of eye-rolling moment, I generally have enjoyed Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. I think they have done an excellent job and they've got the chemistry together. People want to see more destruction. What is the ultimate payoff of these two? What's the match? As I said, you can't do a cage match. because of Hell in a Cell overshadowing it. Can't do a lumberjack match because you're not going to be able to control them. What do you do? Do you just have these two in a parking lot brawl? Do you Punjabi prison them? I mean, I guess you could do a steel cage, but I don't know. I don't know because steel cages don't contain anybody. Steel cages, are we really supposed to still believe that narrative today? That, there's nowhere to go. We're going to lock you two in a steel cage. Yeah, there's nowhere to go except for the door that the referee will generously open if you even come within 3 feet of it. Or the fact that I could just just climb over the top real quick. Yeah, beyond that, sure. Yeah, nobody can get in or out. Sure. So I don't want to have to be told that nonsense. So what do you guys think? What is the stipulation for Strowman and Reed? What do you do with them? How do you pay off this kind of fun mini rivalry? All right. Let's go. We then had Sami Zayn come out and he's dressed in a plaid shirt, which we had, who was it? We had one of the announcers call him Paul Bunyan. I think that was Wade Barrett. That's pretty funny. So Zayn comes out. I mean, it does look like he was out in the woods all day chopping down trees or something. And he recalled Bret Hart talking about what it takes to be a champion, and all he could think of all week was that he needs to be the world champion, and the fans deserve a guy that will be here week in and week out. Oh my God, gag me. And how we deserve a fighting champion. Can we drop this nonsense? Wade Barrett also said something very smart. He said, you don't just give out championship opportunities like candy, title shots like candy. They need to be earned. Yeah, hallelujah. Hallelujah. This just ridiculous narrative, and this is not me picking on the Sami Zayn character per se. This is every babyface champion that has ever existed for the last 20 years in WWE. That they always must and forever must defend the title for all comers. Otherwise, they will be viewed as a coward, which, again, you can split the hair here. You can kill two birds with one stone. You know how you do this? By avoiding the cowardly accusation at the same time that you are going to be a fighting champion. What you do? Simple. You can still fight somebody in a non-title match. That does exist. So if you have babyface champion A and you have number one contender heel, or a potential number one contender heel wrestler B, and that heel wants a shot at the title, instead of just saying, yeah, sure, you deserve it because you came out and asked, which is ridiculous. What you do is say, no, you don't deserve this. I won't fight you for this championship, but I will fight you. I will just fight you. Right? That makes more sense than just devaluing the belt by saying anyone that just comes out deserves a shot. It's ridiculous. It's also nauseating. All right. But Zayn said Gunther has repeatedly declined his title challenges. Ludwig Kaiser comes out, and Kaiser asked why Zayn, out of all people, was asking for a title match, and said Gunther's trying to save Zayn from the worst embarrassment of his life. Kaiser entered the ring while looking back on WrestleMania, which he said was the greatest night of Zayn's career, and said it was the one time that the Zayn's family looked up to him rather than looked down on him. And Zayn questioned if Kaiser thought he would gain respect by Gunther being Gunther's mouthpiece, and Zayn told Kaiser to have the balls to speak for himself. Gunther comes out, told Zayn he would answer his challenge in a bit, but wanted to know if Kaiser had anything to tell him. Kaiser turned and hit Zayn with a microphone, and then hit Zayn with punches, and Gunther said that the answer to his challenge is and will remain no. Kaiser and Gunther hugged before Gunther left the ring, and eventually Sami Zayn got the upper hand as Gunther left and hit a haluva kick on Kaiser. And so I'm really enjoying this. Not that I think Sami Zayn has a shot in hell, but the continuous no's by Gunther. This is what, 3 weeks in a row that Gunther has denied Sami Zayn. We all know it's eventually going to be a yes. He'll be, strong-armed into it by Adam Pearce or through Sami Zayn winning a number one contenders match of sorts. So it's going to happen. It's a matter of how. When Gunther has no choice, he'll have to face Sami. But this has been a fun little story. Sami Zayn and being his underdog from the underground character, whether he likes it or not, he is in this story. No matter what he wants to be, he is the underdog from the underground for this particular story. And Gunther is the overwhelming favorite, and he should be. It's a fun story. I think that it's one that is going to surprise a lot of people at the end of it. Not that Sami Zayn has a chance to win, but one that could end up really helping Zayn get something to really springboard off of and do something consistent on a weekly basis that doesn't involve the Intercontinental Championship, but rather, hey, maybe a bloodline spot. I still think he could rejoin the OG bloodline and be that final piece. I know I bring back the bloodline every time, but I do believe in order. Jimmy will return. Paul Heyman will return. Jimmy will then return. Jay will return, and then we'll have the final piece of Sami Zayn returning to take on Solo's bloodline. That's how I think the returns in order are going to go. I don't think it's going to be an all-at-once massive reunion on the same show. That would make no sense. All right. We then had Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. Nice to see Bianca in a singles match. It was 12 minutes, which is nice to also see. But Io Sky beats Bianca because Sky went up for her finish. Belair pulled her off and set her up for her finish, and then Sky countered into an inside cradle for the victory. And so that was honestly, that was a bit of a surprising finish. Another one that just supports my narrative that Bianca is being just, I don't know, she's like shadow banned or something. I don't think she did anything that she shouldn't have done in WWE. She's just being a good soldier, taking losses, helping build new stars, taking a back seat. But you can only do that for so long before you need the star themselves to help make money for you and the company and come out of her shell. And I think Bianca, it's time for Bianca to do that. She's been doing this for like the better part of a year now. Okay. Sky getting the victory is not the worst thing in the world, though. Yeah. All right. We had, we had a video package on American Made, and it was like a Top Gun 80s style. And Jey Uso was walking backstage, ran into Dragunov and congratulated him. And after Jey left, the Judgment Day surrounded Dragunov, and Balor took issue with Dragunov showing respect to Damien, Rhea, and Jey. Then we get the main event. And we had Damien Priest versus Dominic Mysterio. And it was 13 minutes of a main event with Damien Priest beating Dom after he hit South of Heaven. After the match, the Judgment Day members, as always, attacked Priest, and Rhea tried to help, but Morgan pulled her off the apron and ran her into the ring steps, and then Morgan tossed Ripley inside the ring and started pounding on her. Jey Uso made his entrance, and we had Braun Breaker come out of nowhere and spear Jey Uso, returning the favor from earlier in the night. The Judgment Day members continued their attack on Priest. Morgan hit Oblivion on Ripley. Balor hit Priest with coup de grace, while other members held him down, and Balor went up top to hit it 2 more times. So heels get the heat at the end. Solid Monday Night Raw. It'll be even better when 2 hours are a thing. And I think it really progressed things nicely towards Bad Blood, which is October 5th, 3 weeks away. I said it's 2, it's 3. So 3 weeks away, Bad Blood comes to us from, is that Atlanta? Atlanta? Am I making that up? So should be a lot of fun. This is the preseason to WrestleMania in just about a month. After you get through Bad Blood, we are pre-WrestleMania season. That's not what WWE says, but that's just me. So I'm making my own rules. So that'll do it for the Monday Night Raw review. I appreciate it, everybody. Again, take some time tomorrow to listen to our new host and give him some love. And then on Saturday, it'll still be Amanda. She'll be here again for the next 2 SmackDowns, but then for most of October, Amanda will not be covering SmackDown as she takes some well-deserved time off. And then she'll be back at the end of October. So keep an eye out for the NXT review tomorrow. Also, if you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE Podcast, or go to WWE Podcast on Apple and go ad-free that way as well. So a lot of ways to do it. Check out my other podcast that I do. It's called The War on Truth. If you're interested in such things that are non-wrestling related, warning there. Okay, this is not a wrestling show. Some of you may go to it and go, "What is this?" I don't know. If you like wrestling, listen to this show. If you want to hear me talk about other things, go to that show. That's all I'll say. And I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Again, the mailbag's this week, so don't forget to send us in your questions or comments at mailbag@wwepodcast.com. I've also got a couple voicemails. If you want that number, it's in the show notes of every mailbag show. And this week is the 200th episode of the mailbag. Crazy. I remember the first one I did. And this is episode number 200 coming this Friday. All right, that'll do it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.